so it was good. And then we got a little sudden change. Our Saturday practice is probably going to get rained out, so to get ahead of that, we're going tomorrow. Tomorrow night in Acrisure, about a 30% chance of rain, but we'll get it knocked out there tomorrow evening with Friday night lights for the Panthers. So excited about that. So questions?
Your defensive end, obviously you have Jimmy back, but you brought in the 3 transfers. How's that position group, done through 11 practices?
I think it's looked pretty good. I mean, Jaden Moore's really done a nice job. Blaine's been a little bit banged up. He came in banged up, so we're still making sure we don't mess that up. Taking care of him. And then Joey's done a nice job as well. I think, they all are going to come in and play for us next year. We got a long time to go. Those guys are feeling it out. 11 practices trying to figure out what to do, but they're playing fast, and I'm excited about those 3 guys.
How much was that position one in the offseason? You said this is an area where we really need to improve, get more production than we got last year.
It was important. Obviously, when you take 3 guys out of need, we got what we want there, and I'm happy with it. Coach Scott's done a great job coaching, so I'm excited about where we are. It was important, obviously.
Is Marshland sharing the middle linebacker spot with Lovelace?
Yeah, Jeremiah's, he's rotating in there. He's playing a little bit of the boundary as well, the money backer. So he's doing a little bit of both. He's physical, and from what I see, he's going to earn himself maybe a role on 3rd down as well. We'll get into our 3rd down package. Jeremiah's a good football player. I think he gets better every day.
I know it's the spring and it's early, but do you feel like the defense is taking the ball away a little bit more than normal?
They did. I talked about the takeaways. Today we might have had 1, so the offense took care of it today. I think it was 1 tip ball interception. Get another tip down in the red zone. So, but the defense is doing a nice job. I think they're doing a good job. That's what we're trying to do. Get more fumbles. We haven't done a great job of getting those. Sometimes you're lucky. Sometimes you're not. But I think they've done a nice job of emphasizing the takeaways and obviously the interceptions. I don't know how many interceptions we dropped. I know we missed like 40 sacks, and that's a lot of sacks when you have about 40. You could have had 80. We're looking for some improvement there. We're looking for guys to catch the ball in the back end. I know they're not receivers, but we got to catch the ball when we have opportunities.
When you 40 sacks in the whole spring?
Yeah, no, 40 sacks last season.
Last season.
Last season we missed about 40.
Okay.
Maybe it was 37 to 40, but it was at least 37. And there was a couple could have made that, opportunities. It's not like we were hanging on and fell off. There's probably a couple of those that we didn't. There was ones where we didn't get the quarterback down. There was a couple of them where he spiked it pretty much, which shouldn't be legal. But probably at least 3 of them where the quarterback just puts it in the dirt, and he's got a running back around, but he ain't looking for the ball.
When you say you're bringing Jeremiah in in the 3rd down packages, so you feel comfortable with him dropping into coverage more than Braylon?
No. Just like he's physical. And he just walked in, so I want to get him. He's a good-looking guy. He's got but he's physical, and he just got a knack. And you need someone to puncture and blitz hard. And I see that out of him right now. But again, we're going to need 6 backers to rotate in there. So we consider him one of those guys that we're going to rotate him in just like we did Lovelace and Biles and Kyle Lewis last year, just keeping them fresh and getting more speed on the field.
Your linebackers had a good year last year. It seems like you built some depth there. What are some of the traits that you look for with Coach Manilek when you're recruiting linebackers?
I've always, with recruiting, running backs, you like a guy that knows how to, carry the ball, right? I mean, to me, a great tailback, that's big enough. Jeremiah could probably carry the ball. Did you carry the ball at all, Jeremiah, in high school? They wouldn't give it to you. But we're looking for guys that can, run. So the first thing is they got to be athletic. And, you look at our guys. There's a lot of teams in the country that are going to play with 2 linebackers, and they play with a nickel back, and they play what we call 4-2-5. We're 4-3. We're playing with 3 linebackers, and we're not subbing. The great thing about if you want to come to Pitt and be a linebacker is you're playing every down. We never take a linebacker off the field. Matter of fact, we're talking about playing with 4 linebackers on 3rd down. Like we play with 4. So to answer that question, it's Lovelace coming out. We have to play with 4, and not what do you do? Like if you got Kyle Lewis out there, what do you need a DB for? He runs. Tackles, he makes plays, and so that's the package that we've had in the past, but looks like we can put it back in.
Has anybody emerged this spring as a pleasant surprise? you weren't expecting?
Pleasant surprise. I mean, every day is a surprise. I mean, any transfer that comes in, any freshman that comes in are always, surprises, because you don't know what you recruit, you know they're good, but how does it transition into it? But I'm happy with our, our transfer class that we brought in and our freshman class that, that's here so far. And we got some more coming here. We got reinforcements coming in June, like the end of June. But I'm happy with all those guys. As far as guys that, that were here last year, that, Caleb Holmes has come a long way from the beginning of spring ball, we talk depth, I tell our guys all the time, we talk depth chart every single day. We go through the depth chart, how's he play today? What do you think? And Caleb Holmes' name has popped up here, lately, just one of those guys that's returning that, has figured it out. The lights got turned on there. I think, tight ends, not many of them there. Boosie's been, really, he keeps getting better every day. Some of the cuts he's made the last few days, it's starting to click for him as well. Older guys, receiver, Zion Fowler's, doing a nice job right now, just working on consistency. But Zion, a receiver, who started the whole game, trying to get going over the D-line. All our inside guys are having a heck of a spring. Isaiah Neal's playing really well for us. I mean, he's put on some weight. He's a lot bigger than he was. And I think that's paid off for him. I think he sees that. And in the back end, older guys, Shadarian, Drip, Harrison has really had a nice spring as well. So some of the older guys, that's who I'd say. Besides those, besides Jeremiah is one of those guys which we knew, that's not a surprise. That was something we saw last year. So that's not a surprise.
You mentioned Turner there. Seems like they're getting a lot of reps in spring so far. Can you just talk about the overall running back unit as a whole right now behind Desmond?
Yeah, I mean, Justin Cook, as well as Joel's, had a nice day today. And Turner, so those are the three guys that are getting the majority of the reps this spring. And they're doing a nice job getting it done.
You mentioned Caleb. How has the depth along the offensive line kind of progressed since you put on the pads a couple weeks ago?
They've stayed healthy. That's number one. But it's gone well. I mean, I feel like we got a lot stronger unit than we had a year ago. I think we got more pieces to the puzzle. We worked some jumbo offense line, put an extra lineman in there today, so that was fun to watch. An inside run just to kind of get that in. So get some jumbo and some unbalanced formations in that look good today.
As you move closer to July, when things will change, you'll have salary cap, revenue sharing, budget you have to sort of directly oversee. Do you anticipate hiring a general manager to handle that side of things?
We have a general manager already. I thought we talked about this before, EJ, but Doug Whaley has been our guy. We've had one for a couple of years now, so we're way ahead of the curve. We've already had a guy that has taken care of the player personnel issues that we have. And obviously Graham and Adam do an unbelievable job for us, right here in-house. So we've had that in place here for a couple of years, and it's been really good.
Does he work for you though, or does he work for a third party outside?
He works for Pitt. He was here yesterday. He was running around watching video. So
Just football program, then, not the other sports?
just football. Yeah. Just football.
Anything else before we get to Jeremiah? Coach, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.